Reporting from Jacksonville.com from Jacksonville Municipal Stadium, this is Gene Frenette, sports columnist for the Florida Times-Union, along with Jaguars beat writer Vito Stellino. Today is the last day of training camp for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it still looks like, based on the offense that we saw at this morning's practice, this team still has a long way to go. The 12-9 loss, preseason loss to the Miami Dolphins on Monday night certainly revealed that the Jaguars have some issues along the offensive line, certainly with the passing game. But, again, that was just the first preseason game. And, Vito, clearly this team has a long way to go. But I almost feel like a judge in the early part of the trial. All the evidence isn't in yet, but the early part of the evidence so far suggests that this team's still got a mountain to climb.
No question, and the most puzzling thing is what's happened to David Garrard. He played okay in the scrimmage. One of the interceptions wasn't his fault. Played very well. In the Monday practice after the scrimmage, and the last week he's like tailed off and playing very average. Did not have a good game in the first preseason game in Miami. Has not practiced well this week. And if this team's going to do anything, they need Garrard to play very well. Now, granted, he didn't get good protection on Monday night, as he pointed out, but during practice today, he had 2 early interceptions, virtually all dump-offs after that. Now, he concluded practice with a nice deep pass to Nate Hughes. He needs more passes like that. They need to get downfield. But until he starts playing better, there will be a lot of questions about this team.
What's interesting about David Garrard is after the practice today, he did a little backpedaling. Now, remember, after the loss Monday night to the Dolphins, there was a little bit of a call out of the offensive line. Well, today, when that issue was brought up, David was talking about how we all need to get better, and himself included. So clearly, I think the message got to him that, if you're going to call out your offensive line, you better make sure that the culpability doesn't just lie exclusively with them, but you got to be able to put something a little bit on yourself too. And maybe it was just David's way of showing a little bit more of an edge to his leadership that the coaching staff wants him to have. But at the same time, you don't want to be doing too much calling out so early in the ball game. It was only the first preseason game. Certainly he's going to get more than 3 series, you would think, Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But clearly he's got to get better, but he's got to make sure that he puts a little bit of the onus on himself, not just on the rest of the people around him.
Yeah, there are 2 ways of viewing what he said Monday night. You can say that he was being more of a leader, calling out players, telling them, hey, they have to step up. But on the other hand, when you haven't played well yourself, that's that's a tough case to make. So that's one of the that's one of the big question marks going into this game. This game, by the way, Saturday night, it's a shame that the crowd you'll be able to practically fit in the phone booth from what all expectations are. Very small crowd expected, maybe one of the smallest in team history. But this is kind of an interesting game. You got Byron Leftwich coming in. I mean, this is Byron's Super Bowl. He has not gotten over Jack Del Rio benching him 9 days before the season started 2 years ago. The old Faulkner line, the pass isn't dead, it's not even passed. Well, for Byron, that's not passed, and he'd love a big game against Del Rio's team, and also he has a chance to win the starting job. So this game really means a lot to him. Conversely, it means a lot to David too. He needs to start showing more than he showed in the first game, and they just need to win a game. I mean, they're coming off 5-11. If they lose their first 2 preseason games, that would just add to the kind of negativity surrounding things. So this has got a lot of elements of a very interesting game.
Well, I'm not so sure the final result Saturday night matters. What the Jaguars need more than anything is for the first-team offense and the first-team defense to look good and win some of those one-on-one battles. Now, one of the encouraging things the other night about the Miami Dolphins game was that they felt like John Henderson and the rookie Terrence Knighton, who was bidding for the starting job next to Henderson at defensive tackle, looked very good. They were very encouraged by the way John Henderson played the other night. And these are the kind of things that has to happen for the Jaguars, in my opinion, to have a decent season. They need that defense to step up, and it starts with the defensive line. So if Jaguar fans are looking for an encouraging sign from the other night, John Henderson and Terrence Knighton, certainly looking at the game tape, gave the Jaguars coaching staff some encouraging signs.
Yes, no doubt about that. But they also need to win. I know this is a preseason, but hey, winning's a habit too. And they've been 3-1 in the preseason the last few years, and I think they need to win in this game. You just don't want to start off 0-2 when you're coming off 5-11. Hey, if you're New England, you can kind of shrug it off, but they need to kind of start stepping up. The injuries factor is another problem. They've got about 10 guys injured. I mean, supposedly this year that was going to be the big change, that they were going to avoid injuries. Now, granted, these aren't season-ending type things, but Mike Walker's been out for 2 weeks. They were counting on him to do an awful lot. He can't do it on the bench, so that he remains a big a big question mark. Mike Thomas, another rookie receiver, was expected to do something. He's had a hamstring, so. There's some issues there that they have to be concerned about.
Some position battles to look for Saturday night. You mentioned about guys that are injured. Derek Cox, who the Jaguars are really counting on to, at the very least, be their nickel back this year. And given the way Brian Williams struggled the other night, if Derek Cox can get healthy quickly, he may be the starting cornerback before too long. So that's one area to watch out for. The other, another interesting area, Tony Pashos, the offensive right tackle, struggled the other night. And don't be surprised if before this season is out, we see a combination of possibly Eugene Monroe as the left tackle and Trey Thomas, who has looked pretty darn good so far as the left tackle here in preseason, moving over to the other side at right tackle, because when Trey Thomas was at Florida State, there wasn't much distinction between left tackle and right tackle. So he's kind of used to at least had some experience on there, and I think it's very possible that we could see both Eugene Monroe and Trey Thomas as starting tackles before this year is out. But those are some of the issues to look for going into the game on Saturday night. Reporting from Jacksonville Municipal Stadium for Jacksonville.com and the Florida Times-Union, this is Gene Frenette and Vito Stellino.